Well, about a month after that, Stephen wrote me a letter, and he was in the county jail, and he asked if I could visit him. So I went out there. And when I met up with him, it was the first time I'd seen him clean-shaven, his hair cut, with clean clothes on. And he was a strikingly handsome man. As we talked, he seemed to be very intelligent. And he was able to express himself with eloquence. And so I couldn't help but ask him, Stephen, what happened along the way where your life ended up like this? And he hesitated for a moment or two, and then he told me his story. When he was in high school, he was a baseball player, a very, very good baseball player. Some of the minor leagues were even scouting him for a position. One night after a baseball game, he and a bunch of his buddies went out and they got drunk. On his way home, he was driving his pickup truck. It wandered over to the other side of the road, ran head into another car, and it killed a woman and her young child. Stephen went to prison for 3 years, and he said when he got out, he just wanted his life to end. He said he couldn't pull it back together. He said he had lost all hope. He hated himself, he hated his life, he hated what he had done. And his only refuge was blocking out all of his feelings with alcohol. Well, we talked some more, and he said, maybe this is the time for a new beginning, Stephen. When you get out, you can stay in the custodial office downstairs. You can work for the church. Once you save up a little bit of money, you can move out and get an apartment. This might be a new beginning. When I got back to the church, I sent him an employment application. And he filled it out and he sent it back. Well, about 3 weeks, Stephen McGuire came into the church, and he was drunk. And he was loud, and he was boisterous, and he was obnoxious. But the big difference was, at that point in time, I had compassion for him, and so did others who knew his story. Instead of grabbing by the arms and putting him out the door and telling him not to come back, we put our arms around him. We told him that we loved him. We ushered him to the door and said, come on back when you're not drinking. Love to have you here. Now, I don't know if that made any difference to Stephen, but it did to us, because he no longer became a complaint. He became compassion, a point for compassion. Well, about a year later, Stephen's home was down under one of the bridges by Brush Creek. About a year later, he died down there. He passed out. Evidently, his pant leg got caught on fire, and he burned up. So we had a funeral for him here. All the street people and the homeless people around came. They all knew Stephen. Other people came that had known him from the meeting upstairs. And we had a celebration of life. We talked about Stephen. We talked about the horrible experience he had, and we talked about, the wrongdoing that he created by taking 2 lives. We also talked about the fact that God was going to forgive him for that. We talked about the funny side of him, the funny things he would do. One time he was kicked out of the church, and he came up to my office window, which was about 2 feet from my computer, and he just leaned his head against the window and passed out. So there he was for 2 hours. And I was typing. I think his attempt was to get me to ask him to come in. We talked about the time he came to find Jesus and be saved, but he passed out before Jesus could get here. God bless the man. He had a tough life, but the big lesson that he gave all of us is that everybody's got a story. And people are the way they are because of something that happened. And when we respond to them with compassion, with an understanding that they're human just like us, and that life has kind of molded them and warped them into something that they weren't meant to be, we can respond with a sense of kindness and unity. We all have people like that in our lives. Every single person here has somebody who pushes your buttons, somebody that just does not know how to be kind or how to express love. If you don't have somebody in life, there's all sorts of people out there that are like that. And all I'm calling for today is let's just be aware of that we can move into any sort of a situation, circumstance, or condition and ease the suffering that the person is experiencing. See, we have that within us. We are like the lotus flower that can rise above the muck and the mire and express compassion with purity. Think about that as we move into meditation. Think about somebody in your life that has always been a bit distressful to you, but at this point in time, you can release that and express some sort of goodwill, happiness, or wellness towards them in meditation. As we move into meditation, take a moment to relax. Take a deep breath, hold it for just a moment, and slowly exhale. Feel the relief, feel the release of any tension, stress, or anxiety you might have. Then take another deep breath. When you exhale, become even more relaxed. The question posed was, does God care? We can add to that, is God compassionate? Well, God has given you the spiritual attribute. The Spirit within you holds the spiritual attribute of caring. God cares through you. God is in you. The Spirit within you holds compassion. It is always there in the darkest of situations and circumstances. No matter how intolerable a person might be, compassion is within you. And when you express it, it feels good. When you do the opposite, it feels bad. Each and every one of us has an abundance of attributes that, when expressed, allow us to be beneficial presence to this earth. And when expressed, the earth becomes a better place because of us. So as I speak these words, please make them your own and silently say them to yourself. The light of peace resides within me. May I express peace in the face of conflict. When in the presence of a person filled with hatred, May I remain steadfast in love. If somebody does me wrong, may I forgive them quickly. If there is discord and conflict, may I speak words of harmony. If there is fear and doubt, may I be a source of faith. I know where there is despair, I can bring hope. Where there is sadness, I can bring comfort. Where there is darkness, I can be the light that shows the way to a better life and a better world. For anyone who has hurt me, betrayed me, or disrespected me, I now forgive them. I wish them well. I wish them happiness. I wish them free of all suffering. To all those who have been beaten down by life and become hardened and critical, I wish them well. I wish them happiness. I wish them free of all suffering. To all the impoverished people in the world, whose daily necessities aren't met, I wish them well. I wish them happiness. I wish them free of all suffering. To all the soldiers in the world who find themselves in desperate conditions, doing battle with others, I wish them well. I wish them happiness. I wish them free of all suffering. To all the people facing health challenges, those who are ill and in distress, I wish them well. I wish them happiness. I wish them free of all suffering. With an open heart, filled with compassion, I wish all people well. I wish all people happiness. I wish all people free of all suffering. And so it is.